Good morning. It's Mrs. Bohickey coming from the downtown area of Goshen. You can see that I'm out at the park. You can see the Everett Memorial behind me to the Civil War soldiers of Orange County, and right there, right? And I'm at the lawn of the church. So, you guys are all familiar with this place from Great American Weekend and every farmer's market ever. So if you look at the old courthouse on Main Street, you'll see a red historic marker that mentions Claudius Smith. You normally see blue and yellow historic signs in New York, but this one is red because it's part history and possibly part legend. So Claudius Smith was born on Long Island in 1736, and he moved to Orange County when he was just 11 with his family and a bunch of other Long Islanders. His father, David, bought land in Smith Clove, which is now part of Monroe, and his dad's house is actually still there by the dam on the end of the Goose Ponds. In 1762, he ends up in the French and Indian War on the side of the English, and he later gets married and has at least 3 boys. When the Revolutionary War rolls around, he doesn't officially join the war on either side, but 3 of his sons sided with England, and his oldest son joins the Orange County militia on the side of the colonists. So what is he to do? He starts smuggling goods for the British Army in New York City. He gets a gang going that includes his 3 younger sons and starts stealing cows, horses, jewelry, silver, or whatever, and he'd stash it in a hideout cave south of Monroe before he'd deliver the goods to New York City. This goes on for years until they kill one colonist who was armed and tried to defend his property. So the government put out a reward on capturing Claudius of $1,200, which would be about $20,000 in today's money, and they put a reward of just $600 on each of his sons. So Claudius tries to flee back to Long Island, but he's recognized and caught and brought to Goshen for trial, where he's found guilty. His son William takes over the gang, and they are discovered hiding out in the Scunnamunk Mountains, and there's a shootout with locals, and William dies, and the rest of the gang flees to Canada, presumably leaving a lot of their stolen loot still in the mountains. On a side note, some of the gang's descendants come back about 30 years later looking for the loot, and they don't find it, meaning it still might be out there. Claudius is taken out to the park, this park. His mother had always told him that he'd likely die with his boots on, meaning someone would eventually kill him. So right before he was hung from a tree in the park, he kicked off his boots to prove her wrong. He was buried nearby the tree, but his skull was supposedly taken as a trophy, and according to legend, was cemented into the wall above the door of the courthouse in 1841. That brings me to today's project, to draw a human skull. Drawing a skull is actually a great way to understand the proportions of the human face, and the skull is one of the first things you have to draw if you take a figure drawing class.